I accidentally collected a lot of books in January and February, so I wanted to share them with you. I will say that I said collected because I didn't buy most of these. Thank you to Mel for letting me steal these books from you. I have a few different stacks. I have books that were sent to me. I have books that I got from Mel's Unhaul Closet. I have books that I got from Pango, so used books. I have books that I got from book boxes, and then I have books that I got from Barnes & Noble. Some of these I bought because I read them and wanted a copy. Some I bought and then have read, and then others I have not read yet. So I will let you know which is which. I'm going to start with the books that were gifted to me. I truly can't remember if I talked about this one whenever I got it in December, but this book did come out in January, so I wanted to bring it up. This is a translated book, and it says, "Sometimes the most dangerous strangers are the ones in the bedroom across the hall." I have not been able to read this yet, but I just wanted to highlight this one because I was sent this by the publisher. And then another book that was sent to me by the publisher, this is another ARC. This is Granite Harbor by Peter Nichols. This comes out in April, and it is a thriller set in a small town in coastal Maine, and it is shaken to its core by a serial killer, calls it a page-turning thriller and a captivating portrait of the social fabric of a small town. And it has a villain reminiscent of The Silence of the Lambs, which is interesting because I'm currently reading that book. This is actually one of the 2 books that I got in February. I only got 2, Granite Harbor, and also, here's the thing. Technically, I did get this. I don't have it anymore, but Holly, who is a member of my Patreon, sent me The Will of the Many. I read this last year and really enjoyed it, and she very kindly sent me a copy, but it was damaged, so I sent it back, and I'm going to be getting a new one. I don't have it yet, but I wanted to say thank you to Holly for sending me that. Everything else out of this list of like 35 books I got in January, so still going with books I did not buy. The largest stack is the books that I got from Mel's Unhaul Closet when I went to her house. The first 4 are books that I read and wanted copies of for my shelves, so I took them to put them on my shelves. I got Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. This is a horror book. This is one of my least favorites from him, but the copy is really cool, and I have all of his other books except for the Final Girl support group, so I wanted to copy this. Pinata by Leopoldo Gout. This is a kind of possession horror. Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. I read this one a while ago. This is a very dark thriller. And The Last Flight by Julie Clark. I enjoyed this one. I had a copy of it, but it got water damage, and it was just sitting on my shelves, and I decided to take this one and replace my gross copy with a nicer one. So those are the 4 that I took because I had read them and wanted copies. And then from the stack that I got from her, I have read one, and I'm currently reading another one. Disappearance at Devil's Rock by Paul Tremblay. This is one that I read. This is a coming-of-age horror. And then I'm currently reading The Roanoke Girls by Amy Engel. This is a thriller that has to do with a weird family with their secrets. So this is a thriller. I'm currently reading it for a vlog. It should be in the next video you see from me. The rest of the stack are books that I have not read. I have intentions of reading them at some point, but we'll see when that happens because a lot of these are out of my comfort zone. Adam called me, so things look a little different. So this is in no particular order. Really, it's just stacked from biggest on the bottom to smallest on the top. I have Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I think this is a YA dystopian book. The world is divided by blood. Ghost Story by Peter Straub. This is a horror book. This stack, truly, I don't really know anything about. Mel told me that I could like all of these, so that's why I have them. The Library of the Unwritten and The Archive of the Forgotten by A.J. Hackwith. I think these are dark-ish fantasy. Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the duo that wrote the Illuminae files. I did read the first one, maybe the second one, cannot remember, but I enjoyed it. I think this is YA sci-fi. Another sci-fi, I'm assuming based on the cover, is The Immortality Thief by Taryn Hunt. Veronica Roth blurbed it. This is a very cool edition. It says science fiction on the back. More sci-fi. I think this is sci-fi horror, Paradise 1. I know Mel wasn't obsessed with this one, but she said it was pretty fast-paced, so I think it might work for me, but I'm terrified of the size. The Chain by Adrienne McKinty. I got this one to replace a small, like, pocket paperback version that I had of this, and this is just much easier to read, so I took this. This is a thriller, and I think maybe has some horror in it. Devolution by Max Brooks. I guess this is the author of World War Z, which I did not realize, but this is something to do with Sasquatch. The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter. Do all of her books have this deckled edge? Because I kind of hate that. I enjoyed her other thriller, so I wanted to get this one. The Winter Sister by Megan Collins. This is a thriller. I literally know nothing about it. And then 3 more from Mel. These are all fantasy. The Daughter of Red Winter by Ed McDonald. I think he's married to Katrina Ward. I don't know. This is probably one of the scariest that I got from Mel, and not scary in a way that I prefer. Book of Night by Holly Black. Mel didn't read this one, Apparently a lot of people don't like it, but it sounds interesting, so I figured I would try it. And Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. This has games in it, so I was very interested. So that's my very large stack from Mel. Thank you, Mel, for supplying my TBR shelf. Next up, I have one book that I got from Pango Books, and that is this very cool copy of We Sold Ourselves by Grady Hendrix. This was one of my favorite books from last year. It is a conspiracy theory, satanic metal band horror book, and this copy is just so cool. I'm not usually someone that has multiple copies of books, but like, how could I pass this one up? And then my other one is signed, so I needed this. So book boxes. One I got because I had already read it and I wanted a copy, and that was Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This is YA contemporary romance dealing with chess, and even though I generally love Ali Hazelwood, I still wasn't expecting to really like this one as much as I did, so I needed a copy to add to my collection. I have 3 that I bought and then have read since then. The Fury by Alex Michaelides. This is a thriller mystery. It's very meta. The author is talking to you. I enjoyed this one. The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. This is a kind of contemporary fantasy. This, along with Bright Young Women, is going to be in an upcoming video, so I'm not going to tell you my thoughts on them. Bright Young Women is a thriller based on Ted Bundy's victims and following them and putting them at the center of the story. And the 2 I have not read, First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. This is the Pyramid Book Club pick for March, so I'll be reading this very soon. And then from Aardvark Book Club, I got Chain Gang All Stars. This is a sci-fi that is set at a prison, I believe. It sounds really, really good. And this was their special edition because they chose it as their like best book from 2023. So it's a foiled edition. I missed the signed copy because I forgot to check out my cart, but that's okay, I guess. So that's it for book boxes. Just one more stack of books that I got from Barnes & Noble. The first one, Don't Fear the Reaper, I read and wanted a copy of. This is the sequel to My Heart is a Chainsaw, which was one of my favorite books of last year. I didn't enjoy this one quite as much, but I still wanted a copy. I want the whole series. And then 2 I have read since buying. Mel picked this as an option for me to read in a collab I did with her, so I will have that linked. This is a YA fantasy. And then I've also read Don't Move by James Murray and Darren Wearmouth. This has to do with some Spideys. And then I have 3 more that I have not read yet. The first one is One Dark Window. I've heard good things about this. Monica told me that I might like it, so it was in the buy one get one 50% off table, so I picked this one up. Delicious Monsters by Lizelle Sambury. This is YA horror. This cover is incredible. And then the last one is The Family Plot by Megan Collins. This is a thriller. I don't think I read from this author before, but it sounds really, really good, and I'm excited to get to it. So those are the, I think, 35 books that I got in January and February. Thankfully, I did not buy most of these, which makes it a little bit better. I feel like I've read a decent amount of these, especially excluding all of the ones out of my comfort zone that I got from Mel. This did not help my goal of reading all of my owned TBR by the end of this year. That was really not my intention, but Mel had a lot of good books in her unhaul pile. I'd love to know if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them. Also, let me know what book you have hauled so far this year that you were most excited to get. I don't plan on doing book hauls every 2 months. I plan on getting substantially less books every month for the rest of the year. But it's always fun to get new things and try some new things out of my comfort zone. And I've been doing really well with reading books that I have on my shelves this year, so I'm not too upset about this. I will see you soon. Bye.